Hi YouTube family, this is Courtney. I'm back again with another quick video I wanted to share with you all about something that has been really heavy on my heart that I feel that is going to be a blessing to you as well as continue to be a blessing to me, and that is dealing with something that we have all experienced recently or in the past, and that is moving on after you have said rest in peace to a loved one. How do we cope with the death of a loved one? How do we continue to survive and deal with the everyday tasks that life brings us, knowing that we would never have this person in our lives? It could be a mother, father, a child, a friend, a auntie, a cousin, whatever. We've all experienced someone that was very close and dear to our hearts that we have lost. So what do we do? How do we continue to survive? How do we continue to cope and manage life and the things that life brings us, knowing that we had our loved one transition on to another state? They're no longer here with us. So how do we manage? How do we deal with that? And just for me, coping with death of a loved one is hard. The thought of knowing that we would never see them again, we would never touch them again, we would never be able to build a memory with them again, that it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and for me, it polluted my soul. It really hurt when I had to go through experiencing the loss of loved ones in my life. So I know that it's not something easy. It is hard, but we have to also figure out ways to continue to manage, because they still want us to move on. They still want us to live our lives and be happy and continue to fulfill our purpose, because obviously we're still here. There's a job for us to do. And I feel that there are no ways to really prepare yourself for a loss, even if you know that it's coming, even if you know that they're suffering from a terminal illness of cancer or heart disease or something of that nature, and you know that the doctor said any day now, or they give them an estimated time that they're going to still be here on earth. I feel that there's nothing that that can prepare you to accept the fact that they're dying, that they're going to die. There's no books, there's no pamphlets, there's no outline to follow when trying to move on with, dealing with the loss of your loved one. We have to figure out a way to manage. And I personally, in my life experience, death with two loved ones in my immediate family. I lost my brother, who was 17, to muscular dystrophy. We knew over time that his muscles in his body was going to shut down and deteriorate, and he was not going to, per the doctor, we always had our faith in God that anything was possible and that he is a healer and that he could come out of this. But per the doctor, they told us that he may not live long. Actually, he lived longer than what they expected, because I think they gave him 13, 14, and he passed away in transition when he was 17 years old from muscular dystrophy, and that was my little brother. And then a few years later, I lost my father, who had a lot of illnesses that we did not know that he hid from us. We did not even know that he was suffering with a lot of things that he had. All we knew that he was on dialysis, and he eventually got sick, and he transitioned, and it was hard. It was hard having to cope with their passing and the fact that they were immediate family. Like, I grew up with them, like they were in my life every day. It was hard, and it was painful, it was hurtful, and I thought that I was not going to, especially with my father, I was just like, there's no way I would be able to move on, or life would be the same. But I will say that even though I have my moments of really missing them and being sad, I had to figure out a way to cope and manage living life without them. With living life without them, how do I continue to prosper? How do I continue to function? How do I continue to work through this pain of knowing that I would never see them again here? I would never be with them. So, with that being said, I want to share with you some things that I did, that my personal journey of healing or coping, because to me, I feel like there is no complete way. Not saying that you're not going to, that you won't heal from the hurt, But because they play so much of an important role in your life, you just learn how to accept and be okay with it. But it's still a pain that is going to always, for me, that I felt that is going to still linger, because they were, for me, my father, who I love dearly and was a great dad, and my brother, who I love as well. So I want to just share with you some steps that I have taken and still go through every now and again when I have my moments of grieving and hurting and being upset with the fact that I don't have them anymore. Like, they're no longer here on this side with me. So, and I pray that it does bless you. The first thing I did was, and this was also said to me, is that I've learned how to always give myself permission to grieve. Like, I didn't have to put on a face. I didn't always have to put on a front and say, all is well, knowing good and well it isn't, like I'm feeling some type of way. I gave myself the okay to cry. I gave myself an okay to break down, even to be upset and angry with my father. As much as I loved him and I knew that he was a strong man, there were some points in time in the beginning of his passing that I was very angry and upset with him, because I felt like some of it could have been prevented, as far as him taking pills or going to going to see a specialist that he kind of refused to do. But I found myself kind of being upset with him about it, and I allowed myself to feel that way. I didn't say, "Oh, you shouldn't be mad." I let whatever feelings and emotions that I had, I gave myself permission to feel that way, and don't judge myself about it. I was able to cry, vent, curse, whatever it is that I needed to do to get it out, because I was so dealing with so many issues or emotions. And I even felt abandoned and neglected, because my father been there for me all my life. And if you have a loved one or somebody in your life that's always been there and been that go-to person, and it was your heart and your everything, to have that ripped from you was kind of like, I felt mad at him. Like, how could you leave me? Like, I'm your daughter. I'm like, this is me. Like, how could you leave? Why didn't you fight a little harder to stay? So I kind of got a little selfish, knowing that he was sick and he was, was going through. But I gave myself permission to feel that way. I gave myself permission to get it all out. So that was the first thing I did. And the second thing I want to share with you is, do not force yourself to a timeline on when you should be over it. Don't force yourself and say, "Oh, well, mama been dead for a year now," or, sister been gone for 2 months. I should be over this. I should be feeling better now, whatever. Don't force yourself to a timeline. People grieve differently, and they also, the depths of how they may grieve is going to be different from the next person. And I think that depends on the relationship that you had with the deceased person, and the impact that they had on your life, the memories that you had. And so that right there, you should never put a timeline on how long you should grieve, or you feel that you should have gotten over this by now. So don't force yourself on a timeline. If you're still hurting, allow that hurt to run its course. It's like a virus. Let it run its course, because before you know it, if you continue to let it out and not suppress it and not forcing yourself to get over it, you'll notice that slowly but surely you're beginning to cope a little better with it, to where those times that when you do think of them, when you usually burst out and crying and being upset, it may turn into a slight smile, that you start remembering things that you shared together, or a fragrance that they smelled, that they used to wear. It reminds you of them. So and you begin to start thinking of, yeah, I know they're gone, but hey, nothing I can do about that. I'm just going to hold on to my memories, or whatever pertaining to them, so that I can kind of cope and deal with the situation a little better. So never force yourself to say, "Oh, I should be over this," because when you're forcing yourself, it's kind of like you're rushing it, and you don't want to have those emotions to be bottled in. You want to express them and get them out by any means necessary, in a healthy way, so that you can properly cope and try to heal that wound of knowing that they're no longer here with you. So that is the second thing. The third thing is very important. It's very, very important. Is to find or have or create a support group. Um, Meaning this could be a friend who would listen, a mother, a father, etc. Or if you're feeling that there is no immediate family that you can talk to, don't feel embarrassed or crazy, especially men, to reach out and get professional help. You have grievance counselors, you have therapists, you have ministers, pastors, you have people that you can confide in. Just make sure that it's someone that you are comfortable with to be open, free and honest. It is very healthy that you have a support group. For me, my support group was my sisters and my brothers. Dealing with our brother and our father's death, there's been times where we would send out a group text and it'll be a memory of something daddy said, or something that, we remember something that, my brother did, or just thinking of them, and we would laugh about it. It became, over time, it was like we were really there for each other. Like, I know how you feel. It's going to be okay. Or we would come sit with each other and just have a powwow moment and just let it all out. But I noticed that as the time went on, since my father and my brother has passed, that when we do send out those group texts and support each other, we are now doing more laughing of memories that we have shared, and something that anybody who knows my dad, that man is something else. We would think about something that he did or said, and we would put it in a group text, and it's like, even though we may have a little tear shed behind it, but it was more so laughter. Like, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he wore that. Anybody know my dad? No, he was very soulful. Like, he could not dress, but he was a funny guy. He was a real down to earth person. So having a support group is very important. Very important. You need to make sure that, like I said, it's someone that you're comfortable with and that will allow you to open up and get it out, and that they won't judge you, and they won't judge you for feeling the way that you feel. Like I said, some of my feelings that I had towards my father was anger, and it may sound crazy to a lot of other people, but having that moment to just really be honest and vulnerable and open with how I really felt was healthy for me, because I was able to get it out. And then that support group, my mother, my sisters, and my brother were able to kind of like shed another perspective on it. Like, maybe you shouldn't be so angry, because at the end of the day, he was our father. Yes, he was, but he didn't belong to us. He was God's child, and when he got ready to call him home, whether he went to that doctor or not, or took that pill or not, it was his time. So it was, even though I was able to vent and get that out, I also was able to get some positive feedback to kind of help me change the way I was thinking about it. And that was also healthy for me. So like I said, because the last thing you want to do is to bottle up those feelings. Those bottled emotions is very important. And you have to pay attention to that if you do that. Because those bottled up emotions that you're trying to suppress, and I know probably more so for males than females, because you have this stereotype of being macho and strong, and men don't cry, and we got to put on face, and we got to be the strength of the family. You too need to make sure that you find someone that you can vent and open up to and express the way that you feel about the loss of this particular loved one that played a significant role in your life. Because if you don't, there's a chance that those bottled up emotions and those feelings that you suppress and try to hide can eventually lead to depression. It can elevate stress, and it can also, believe it or not, it can lead to suicide or suicidal attempts. So be open up your heart, open up your mind, open up your feelings, and get it out. Because think about your loved one. Even though they're gone, they want you to still live and be happy and healthy the best way that you can. So the last thing they want you to do is to continue to carry around this hurt and keep it in and suppress it and not deal with it. So that's the third thing. And the fourth thing that really helped me is that I began to journal. I have a particular journal, and it's not necessarily, you don't even have to have a book or anything. You can just pull out a piece of paper and just begin to write. There will be times when you would have those moments of just really missing them, feeling sad, feeling angry, feeling upset, feeling lost, confused, bitter, upset, broken, hurt. All those feelings will come, and there are times when you're having those moments that no one is going to be there, no one is going to be around. So you have to really cope and try to depend on what it is that you can do to kind of help yourself maneuver through this particular time of your grieving, or your moment, that I like to call. And that's why it's so important to always have a plan B, if your support system is not there for you for whatever reason, because they still have their lives too. But it's very important to have a plan B. And when it comes to expressing your inner thoughts, your most authentic, vulnerable thoughts, you need to make sure that you do that. And like I said, and so with that being said, that's why it's very important to journal, write it down, get it out. And for me, it's something about putting pen to paper that allows you to go to a place of freedom, not being judged, just open up and getting it out, just writing it out. You'll be surprised what you're holding, especially in your subconscious mind. You'll be surprised what's there, so just get it out and express yourself on paper and journal it. And if you don't want to keep it, in a particular place, fear if somebody may find it or whatever, you can rip it up afterwards or burn it or whatever the case may be, or bury it. Some people do that, but just make sure you expressing it and getting it out. Don't bottle those emotions and those feelings in, because like I said, the last thing that we need for you to do is to fall into a state of depression or having some ungodly thoughts that are going to lead to you hurting yourself, or maybe lashing out and hurting others, depending on the situation. So just make sure you do that. And the fifth thing I want to share with you is keep them alive. Keep them alive in spirit. You know, Reminisce on their life. Think about the good times you had with them. Always keep them present in your heart, and in your mind and in your life. Just because they are no longer physically here with us, they're still with us. I believe anyway that they're still with us in spirit. They're still here guiding us. They're still here protecting us. And I like to call them, our ancestors and our guardian angels. They're still here to help us cope with life. They're still here to push us when we feel like we can't, go any further. Still keep them alive in your memory. And some of the things that, we do for my father is that we never let his memory, die. We never forget about him. So on his birthday every year, even though he's not physically here, we celebrate his birthday. I mean, party, cake, we sit around, we reminisce, and we enjoy and we celebrate him. So we can still keep him alive with us. He's still with us. Even our brother, they're still with us, and we celebrate them. We can get balloons, and on the day that they passed, or a birthday, or a particular holiday that they love so much, still celebrate them. Get them balloons and let them release them into the sky. Something symbolic to let you know and them know that y'all are still together. This is very therapeutic, at least for me. I was able to be like, even though my father is no longer here, my brother's no longer here, I can still reminisce. My memories are something that would never die. Even though they're physically not here, those memories will be with me forever. So that is something that you can also do, and I think is very important, is to keep their memory alive. Talk about them. If it's a grandmother, tell them, tell your kids about, your grandmother, or your best friend that passed away, or your child, or your mother, father, whoever it is. Keep their memory alive. Reminisce on the good things, because you want to celebrate their life. Even though they're no longer here, they're just transition to another state, they are still, like I said, I still feel that they're still here in spirit. They're still with us. They're guiding us. They are truly our angels, and they're there. And the sixth thing I want to share with you, which is extremely important, is to always just pray. Just pray for comfort. Pray that God will give you peace, and a peace, and to just get to in a place of accepting. And that's where I think I am now. It's just that I look at, my father and my brother being gone for so long, and I'm like, okay, like I said, to begin with, they were never truly mine to have forever, because they were God's children. And if he wanted to call them home, then he had every right to do that. However, like I said, it doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't, make it better, but it does help me cope with it a little better. And just knowing that I still have memories, I still can, I still sometimes find myself talking to my dad and feeling his presence, and just knowing that he's still here with me, just knowing that he's still a parent, he's still guiding me. And then I think that's a good thing, because it kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow, knowing that he sees everything. So I just think that it's very important that we just pray and just ask God to give us comfort. So again, death is not easy to deal with in itself. It hurts like hell. My dad was my everything, and I felt that as long as I had him in my corner, I had no worries. I went through the ups and downs of losing him, and at times I even had moments, but I followed those 6 steps. And I even still do it to this day. If I feel like I want to journal or call my support group, or have a moment where I just sit there and cry, go visit his grave or something, I still do that. And I notice that each time it gets better. It gets better with time, I promise you. I accept the fact that he's no longer here physically, with me, but he's still guiding me, and he's still being my daddy spiritually, and I truly believe that. And the moments when I am lost, and I think of some of the things that he's taught me, things that he's instilled in me. So I always can go back to my memory bank and pull out what I need. And that just lets me know that he is still here, and that he is still, going to guide me. And your loved ones can do the same for you. Pull those things that you have in your memory from them. Reminisce on those good things and those good times. And like I said, just be true with your feelings at all times. If you're feeling some type of way, call on that support group. If they're not there, journal, get it out, express it. And I promise you, continue to keep their spirit alive, because you have to think about, like I said, they're gone physically, you're still here. So you still have a purpose, you still have a calling for your life, you still have a job to do, you still have something to fulfill. You don't have to let their memory and their love go just because they're no longer here. Embrace it and continue to let that be your guiding light, your guiding force to go to the next level that you're trying to get to in your life. you know and I just think that they are our angels. They are there to guide and protect us, and they are here with us spiritually. So we can always hold on to that. And to me, they can do more for us in the spirit than they could have done in the physical. So that right there gives me joy. They see all, they know all, they're there with us. And I thank God, for the moments that I had with my loved ones. I thank God for placing them in my life. And so I feel privileged. I feel special. And those are the thoughts that we have to kind of dwell on. Like I said, death is not easy. We all grieve differently. And just know that if you do feel that it's going too far to the left, don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to reach out and say, I am feeling like I'm falling in a dark, dark place. My thought pattern is not right. I'm feeling like, I don't know, suicidal. I'm feeling helpless, hurt. Please reach out to someone. And those who are, who is watching this and know someone who's experienced a death or a loved one and is having a hard time, please pay attention to them. If they're saying certain things or acting a certain way, be there for them. Don't just downplay it. Like I said, it doesn't matter how long the person's been gone. We need to pay attention to each other. We need to really be each other's keeper, and pray for that person, that they would get strength to endure, to get through the loss of their loved one. And like I said, if it gets to a point and we see that their actions are not right, then we need to step in and help them cope with it. Be that shoulder, be that prayer partner, be that person to get them out and just enjoy life a little bit better. And like I said, professional help. Do not be afraid to get that professional help if that's what you're needing. We do have grievance counselors that are very specifically trained for that. So the resources are there, and I do hope and pray that these 6 steps will help you. We have experienced so much loss, especially in my city, Columbus, Georgia, and it's hurtful how we're losing our people. But we have to realize that we can still love them even though they're not here, and that they do still love us. And that I pray that those 6 steps will help you, and take what you need from it, and let it just help you cope and not saying get over, but just help you cope and deal with the death of their loved ones. And even though you may not feel it or see it now, but I am a living witness of having experienced two deaths back to back in my immediate family. It's not easy. It's not easy. And like I said, I still have my moments, but I promise you, if you continue to pray, God will shower you with this comfort of peace and shield you with a peace of that you will not understand where is this coming from. But I promise you, He doesn't want to hurt you. He loves you, but they belong to Him, and He has that right to take them back. As I don't want to say harsh, but it's the truth, reality of it. So I hope and pray that this particular video help you to get over the grieving part of it and to just cope with the death of the loved one. And like I said, keep their memory alive, because they may be gone physically, but they're still with you spiritually. And remember that. So you're not alone, and they're doing more for you now than they could ever do with them here. So I love you all, and I'm praying your strength that you will get through these hard times, and just know that in due time that you will. So continue to stay blessed. Peace, love, and blessings. Self-love. Love you.